Hi, welcome to Cognossance Inner Harmony. My name is Judy. In this video, I want to talk to you about how the body has a vibrational frequency. What do we mean by that and where does it come from? I also want to talk to you about the vibrational frequency of intentions, thoughts, words, and emotions, and how they can affect your body. In terms of your vibrational frequency, your vibrational blueprint or your fingerprint, where does that actually come from? Well, there are a couple of schools of thought on that. So we'll start off with the one that is the most scientific. Although I will say, I make a disclaimer right now, I'm not a scientist. I may not be using the correct terms and lingo, but I hope that the picture that I'm painting for you will help you understand how your body itself has a vibrational frequency. So if you think about what you learned in junior high and high school, you know that everything is energy. Any energy is everywhere all around you. The air you breathe is energy. Furniture you're sitting on is energy. Everything in your world on the earth and through the universe is energy. And where does that come from? It comes from atoms. So if you think about the most simple atom, the most simple element that's on the periodic table is hydrogen. And hydrogen has one proton in its nucleus, and it has one electron on a single shell or axis spinning around that nucleus. If you could somehow expand a hydrogen atom so it was big enough for you to see and large enough to potentially record with really sensitive recording audio equipment, the spin of the electron would create a vibrational frequency sound, potentially. Hard to prove. Then if you think about, just take a walk across the periodic table of elements over to oxygen. Oxygen has 8 electrons. There are 2 on one shell or axis and 6 on another. And they spin around the nucleus, and if they were big enough and audio equipment was sensitive enough, it would have a different sound than oxygen. Oxygen atoms will all, or sorry, I meant to say hydrogen. Hydrogen atoms will all sound the same as their neighboring simple hydrogen atoms. The electrons all spin at the same rate. If they weren't identical, then they wouldn't be hydrogen. They'd be something else. And oxygen would be the same. Oxygen will have the same vibrational frequency as all of its neighboring simple oxygen atoms that haven't formed or partnered up with other atoms to make molecules. So just even think about hydrogen and oxygen combined together. What do they make? They make water. And your body is, I think there are varying opinions, but it's 60 to 80% water. I've seen even 90% water. So right there, you're filled with energy from those atoms that are within your body. And then of course, there are other elemental atoms throughout your body too. The most prevalent being calcium from your bones, carbon, iron, which is in your blood and carries oxygen throughout your body, sodium, potassium, magnesium, manganese, it goes on and on forever. Just look at a bottle of vitamins and you'll know what elements are within most people's bodies. Your vibrational frequency from the atoms within you is going to be different than the vibrational frequency of somebody sitting next to you based on just your size, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, how much water you drink, what kind of food you eat, what makes up your chemistry. It would be impossible for you and a person sitting next to you to have the exact identical physical vibrational frequency from your atoms, because it's unimaginable that you could be exactly the same. And one of the reasons that's unimaginable is because the average body has so many billions of atoms in it that the number is unpronounceable. But it's 7 times 10 to the 27th power. That's 7 followed by 27 zeros. 7 billion, billion, billion atoms in your body. And that's just average, of course. So you're not going to have the same physical vibrational frequency as a person sitting next to you. Another line of thinking is that it really depends on your spiritual beliefs, but if you believe in the soul, the metaphysical community, the spiritual community believes that your soul has its own unique vibrational frequency based on when it was created. And maybe some other factors too. Maybe how the planets were aligned at the time of the creation of your soul. If you believe in reincarnation, it is believed that your soul carries that same vibrational frequency throughout each incarnation. Your body will be different each time, so you'll have a physical vibrational frequency as well as that soul vibrational frequency, potentially. Obviously depends on your belief system. If you think that you only live one life, you still have religious beliefs, but you believe that you only have one life, potentially your soul still has its own unique vibrational frequency that could come from genes from your mother and genes from your father plus your soul. So those are the different ways of thinking that I think of off the top of my head to explain how you have your own unique vibrational frequency. How do thoughts, words, emotions, and intent have frequency of their own, and how do they affect the body? Well, one of the best illustrations for me of that is Masaru Emoto's experiments with water. He was a Japanese researcher who did some experiments with vials of water. What he did was he labeled vials of water with different words and different phrases. Some of them were positive words and phrases like love, hope, joy, faith, I love you, you're beautiful, things like that. And some of them were negative, like hate, I'm going to kill you, awful, awful things. Excuse me for shifting and being awkward. So what happened was, once those vials of water were frozen, Mr. Emoto, I think he was a Mr. rather than a doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, he examined those vials, or what he did was he isolated some ice crystals, looked at them under a microscope and photographed them. And what he found, and what he has shown to us, is that the water crystals, the ice crystals that formed in the vials that had the positive statements on them, the positive words on the labels, were really beautiful. They were intricate and delicate and just finely detailed and quite special looking, really. And what he found was that the ice that formed in the vials that had the negative labels did not seem to have appreciable structure. The crystals didn't have appreciable structure. In fact, what he showed under the microscope was somewhat ugly. It's very, very unusual. I can't say that that necessarily proves anything, but it is interesting to think about. And there are some cool videos on YouTube that I will link below in the description box. And they're very quick if you want to just take a look at those photos that Mr. Emoto took. But if you think about if words on a label can affect the molecular structure of water and how it forms ice crystals, what is that doing to your body, which is somewhere from 60 to 90% water, depending on your info source? What is that doing to your body? So that is how words, intent, emotions, beliefs, how they have vibrational frequency and how they can potentially affect your body. So what I want to do for you now, what I plan to do in most of the videos that I release, is to release negative emotions from you, from your body. So this is what you would call a group healing. It's also distance healing because I'm not in a room with you. And what I did before starting this video is I intuitively picked up on 6, you could say emotions, or you can call them vibrational frequencies that are prevalent among the viewers of this video at any given time. So how can that be? Well, we can talk about how these energies can be picked up in the present but still apply to the future in another video. I'll have to get quantum on you for that. But I did pick 6 energies. Actually, I selected 2 without even using intuition, because everyone suffers from 2 categories of emotional vibrational frequency: shame-related emotions and guilt-related emotions. When I say shame and guilt-related, what I mean by that is you can have an emotion of shame, but you could also have an emotion similar to shame. And what I found in working with energy healing methods, and once I finally began to develop the Cognossance method, I found that if I was working on trying to release shame, somehow I would find that it would creep back in. It would creep back in, and I was becoming frustrated and didn't really know why. Why is this coming back up again and again? People with anxiety, if they have a low vibrational frequency of anxiety, the same thing can kind of happen. And what I discovered, or what I thought about, was if a word or emotion has a vibrational frequency, wouldn't it be important to make sure you've identified the right word, the right emotion? So there might be a shame adjacent emotion. In other words, a synonym, a very similar word, but it has a different vibrational frequency. So once I figured that out and figured out that I need to actually zero in on the correct emotion, the correct vibrational frequency, then it could be released, and it seemed to have much more permanent results. So that's what I'm going to do with every video that I release. I will release a shame-related and a guilt-related vibrational frequency, and the rest of the items that I clear for you will be, I will determine them through intuitive means. So shame and guilt, and then the next 4 low vibrational frequencies that I'm going to release for you today are disgust, dependency, codependency. I picked that one too. I wanted to release them together. Dependency is the one that came up intuitively, and low self-esteem. So just to talk a little bit about dependency and codependency. The dependency came up for me intuitively through the intuitive scan that I do. And what dependency can mean is somebody might be dependent on another person for their happiness. They could be dependent on another person for their livelihood, their shelter, their food, what have you. They could be dependent on drugs, alcohol, gambling, food, sex, any number of things. And then codependency is if that dependent person has a partner that enables some of those things, that person is codependent. And codependency can also mean that that partner has their own some form of dependency on the other person with the negative behaviors, and you could say dependencies and addictions. Somehow that partner, the supporting person's own identity, is somewhat tied up with being the provider the care provider, the shelter provider, the food provider, the home provider. So that's dependency and codependency for the purpose of this particular exercise. So what I like for people to do when I'm releasing emotions is I like them to follow along with me. So if you pop over to the first video that I released, I will link it down in the description, and probably I can insert a card as well for you to click. But pause the video, go over to that video. It's time stamped. The time where the breathing exercise or the release exercise shows up is 11:11. No coincidence there. Actually, it is a coincidence. I just found that it was right around the 11:11 mark. That will have meaning to some of you and no meaning to others. Doesn't matter. So go have a look at that. In that video, I actually show you the process of releasing the energy. I don't want to talk you through that in this video because honestly it takes too long, and I'd like to keep these videos as much as possible under 20 minutes long. So in this video, I am just going to clear those 6 emotions. I'll label them or I'll name them once as I start to release them. I'm going to apologize right now because I know it looks weird. It's really strange looking. It's not interesting to watch me do it. That's why I kind of like you to follow along with me, because it's actually more powerful if you do it as well as I do it, and it also passes the time and makes it seem less weird. So let's just get right down to it. The first energy that I'm going to release is shame. Have a look at that other video so you know what it is that I'm doing. Okay, so shame. So that was shame. The next one is guilt. Guilt. The next one is disgust. Now, dependency. Now, codependency. And now low self-esteem. Who can't use a little help with low self-esteem? Okay, so I've just released 6 low vibrational frequencies for the collective of viewers watching this video at any given time, and you've helped to do that too, hopefully. So that's it for today. In the next video, I'm going to talk about why the Cognossance method works, my belief as to why it works, how it's effective. And I will also release however many toxic, viral emotions come up during my intuitive scan. I would absolutely love it if you're so moved, if you would like this video with a thumbs up, if you would share it, if you would subscribe and click the notification bell so you find out whenever I upload new content. That's only if you're interested in doing so. It does help to circulate the videos throughout YouTube though. It helps them come up within the algorithms. But again, only if you're so moved. I would absolutely love it. If you would, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them down in the comments section below. And yeah, I am absolutely fine if you just give it an old thumbs down as well. That helps me understand if these videos are reaching, if they're resonating with people. So again, thanks so much for taking time to watch, and we'll see you next time. Bye.